I was in one of these meetings where they held up the surveys that had come back, and they read off the comments in the survey. Every single one of them elicited applause or "nice, Chris."
Welcome again to It Doesn't Take a Genius, conversation with introspective perspectives and pithy points of view. Here are your hosts, my friends, Max and Marty.
I think that's Mark and Mike.
Yeah, whatever.
Ramsey!
I caught you unawares there with a cough right as you pressed record, so apologize for that. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, sir. Once again, you're fighting through Ebola, and just to make podcasts for both our listeners. So very excited about that. Appreciate your tenacity, your toughness, your perseverance.
I do. You know what? I'm going to hold it up to the camera. I have this lovely microphone. I think I have to turn my head this way because I have it set up cardioid style.
Ooh.
And it should mask most of my coughs. But yeah, this is it's got that little button where I can mute myself should I start to cough. And I'm going to tell you right now, Mike, I'm going to be coughing. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So hopefully this isn't too painful, but we have such a good topic today. I didn't want to skip it. So.
Oh yeah, we were so excited with our last podcast. We were talking about how do you lead an office, right? How do you gain commitment to office tasks? And we tackled that with the 4 disciplines of execution, and wonderful book, and some very simple principles. And we got to the part where, all right, we've got this wildly important goal. We've decided what our lead measures, our activity measures are going to be. Here's the things that if we do are going to contribute to our lag measures, which are the outcome-based measures. And now we've created a scoreboard where we're measuring our lead measures. Here's how we're progressing towards the goal, and we're measuring our activities. And we've got it on a chart, a board, or something. We're moving our little pieces along. It's very cool. And then discipline 4 is a cadence of accountability, where you've got to gather around the scoreboard. The book recommends weekly, but yeah, depending on what it is that you're working on, it may vary. And you want to review the board, and it's basically a stand-up huddle coaching conversation in mass with your team. So we talk about this, and to us it sounds pretty easy. We say it, go like, oh yeah, just gather around the board, coach them up a little, and then come back next week and do it again. But there may be more to it than we've expressed.
Yeah, it begs the question, what exactly does that look like? And so we wanted to basically record an episode around that, because there are some things that could happen in that meeting that you need to be prepared for, and frankly might be keeping you from having that meeting, because you're like, man, what do I do if I get there and none of them have done the work, or the numbers aren't moving, and it's week 7 and we're still hovering at the same place we were on our goal. All of those are valid questions. So we wanted to kind of walk through what exactly do you do in those meetings. So Mike, do you want to sort of walk through the basics?
Well, I think, the basics are, you've gathered the team around. We're on time, right? These meetings happen consistently at the same time. And we know that in some retail environments that's difficult, but we know if we set a time, we're more apt to stick to it. So we're gathered around the scoreboard. You update the lag measures. All right, the latest reports indicate sales are at this, or whatever that lag measure is. It's here's the update here. Then you update the activities. Okay. So, Bob, you were going to make 5 offsite vendor visits, right? You were going to call on 5 clients offsite. How many did you get to last week? Got to 4. Okay. Got 4. All right. Jill, you were going to make 5 offsite, client customer calls. How many did you make? I made 6. 6. Very good. And then, so now I've updated the lead and lag measures. And now's our opportunity to talk about that. And so we came up with 3 scenarios. The first scenario is they completed their activities and they met their commitments or maybe even exceeded them. So in your mind, what does that conversation look like? How do we respond to somebody who's hitting or even exceeding their activity goals?
Yeah, from a coaching perspective, it's something we talk about often. When somebody accomplishes what they set out to accomplish, one of the coaching questions is, how are you going to celebrate that?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a little 15-minute huddle here. We have an opportunity with our peers to do some celebration about what's worked, and maybe even go a little step further and say, wow, way to go. You got through a lot of those. How did you do that? A quick conversation. We're not going to draw out this meeting, but it's certainly on task to be able to share some goodness of somebody who's been able to hit a lot of numbers, to say, what can you share with the rest of us that made that happen?
Well, yeah, I think it's perfect, right? And we always like that sharing of even a specific bright spot. So, wow, you committed to 5, you did 6 or 7. All right, so tell me about the best one. Give us an update. What was that? What was that
Yep.
best one like? Appreciate it, and so excited that you're ahead of goal on this. And yeah, tell us how you're doing it. How are you managing to do this? And if they're doing it consistently, how are you managing to do this consistently? Right. We want to share some of that expertise and reinforce the positive, behaviors in a group setting. So the second one would be they're coming up short for their activities goal. So they committed to 5 offsite visits and they did 4. And so what does that conversation look like?
Now, I think there are some again, opportunities for coaching. We used to talk about coaching, and we'd say, praise in public, coach in private. And that's a little bit of a change in the what we mean by coaching, because we're basically saying, you're a remedial player. We need to take you into the room and somehow get you to improve. But here there might be some opportunities in the room to say, hey, what's getting in the way, to have that kind of a coaching conversation in the room. Now, I know you've done this other ways as well, Mike.
I mean, when you look at it, you've got the opportunity to always ask, right? Which is what part of one of our standard coaching questions is. All right, so what do you need from me to help you reach your activities goals? And so, I always want to express that we're supportive, we're here to help, and we want to help you do this. And there may be an opportunity here for as you said, that private coaching conversation. When we circle back in our one-on-ones, hey, this was the 3rd week in a row that you haven't been able to meet your activities goal. What's going on? And as simple as that, right? What's going on? And the second coaching question we love so much from the coaching habit, and what else? So what's going on? All right, they tell you some stuff, and what else? Let's see if we can get to the root cause of what it is that's keeping them from achieving that goal. So the beauty of this,
that's why it's so. Go ahead.
The beauty of this is because we're having this meeting weekly, we're going to get ahead of this before it becomes a big issue. If I'm only checking the numbers monthly and I'm like, oh man, now I've lost a whole month's worth of production out of this team member. Whereas if if he comes up short one week and we're talking about it, we got a chance to, all right, let's figure out what the obstacle is. Is it a training thing? Is it a doing thing? Is skill, a will? And we're going to figure that out and see if we can get them back on track. And we've only lost a week. So the beauty of the system is, we don't lose months of production when it's something that's most of the times pretty easily solvable.
Yeah, and we talk about this with respect-based performance coaching too, that you make that a regular cadence of coaching so that you uncover this stuff quickly and can do course corrections as soon as that conversation occurs. These two in tandem are pretty powerful, right? To have your scoreboard meetings on a weekly basis, so that, man, when it comes time for the monthly respect-based coaching session, I mean, you know exactly what both of you need to be talking about.
Oh yeah.
So it's a thing of beauty when you get into a cadence of this.
Yeah, because I want them, while we're in the huddle around the scoreboard, I want them to join in the celebration. I want nothing more as the leader to be able
Yeah.
to call them out and say, "Yeah, Bob, you're killing it." Like,
Right.
fantastic job.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like nothing more than that. The third category that we see is, okay, you've got a person doing the activities, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
showing up in the lag measure. It's not showing up in the end result. So you've called on, this many, accounts, and you've only landed one of those, where our typical, our average performance would be, you're going to land 40 to 50% of those should place an order, and you're not getting but about 10%. So here, the activities are great. You're doing the thing, but you're not getting the results. And so
Yeah.
what do you think there? What's that look like as far as the conversation goes?
Well, so the four disciplines of execution talks about this a little bit in the book, but if you listen to some of the podcast interviews that they've done over the years, the author, one of the authors has done over the years, they make a point that often their clients do not pick the correct, quote unquote, wildly important goal first time around.
Mhm.
And so year one, the wildly important goal is not exactly the right wildly important goal, the thing that would most move the organization forward or the team forward or what have you. And so sometimes we're off on that number. Here we're saying that we're off on the other number, that that we've been doing what we said we were going to do, the lead measure, the activity to get to that goal, and for whatever reason that's not working. And the thought that comes to mind for me is that we really need to explore that. Are we off on the lead measure? In other words, we placed a bet that this is the thing that's going to move us forward. Maybe it's the wrong bet, and maybe we need to let it go for a couple months to see if we're right about this. But it's possible that there's something else we could be doing that would be better serving hitting our goal. It's also possible that somebody really needs help on achieving, the ability of what you're supposed to get out of that lead measure. So as an example, we talked about shoe stores yesterday, and if you've got somebody who's scanning everybody's feet, which we know is the thing, that's our bet that we're placing. We're saying that if we scan a bunch of feet, we're going to sell more shoes and socks and everything else. Somebody's got all the feet scanned, but the sales aren't there. Well, that sounds like a training opportunity, right? That's somebody who hasn't been able to close on a sale or hasn't been able to figure out how to offer the product with knowledgeability. They're just scanning feet and just checking boxes and aren't able to actually achieve the actual goal that we're shooting for. So I think both of those conversations are really worth having. Is there some training opportunities here, but also, maybe we've got an opportunity to switch to a different lead measure that would get us there. Right? Thoughts on that?
Oh no, I think you're spot on. Yeah, if I've got somebody who's making the calls, they're doing the activities, but the results aren't there, then yeah, most of the time it's a training opportunity. They don't possess the skills, the word tracks, the process, and so you got some neat opportunities there. First and foremost would just be to, as the leader, to shadow them, just to observe.
Mm-hmm.
And I can observe and watch them go through it, and I can listen to their calls. I can go out with them on calls. I can watch them do the scanning of the feet. So
Yep.
yeah, and now I can, usually it's pretty easy for a manager to go, there's what's missing. Now we can
Yep.
have that conversation about,
Just a tweak, right?
yeah. It's usually, yeah, they left out one little piece, and so yeah, it usually becomes highly evident to the person who's observing it. The person who's in the middle of it has no idea why it isn't working. And so
Right.
your value as a leader, in this case, a leader who's a trainer, is to help them see what's missing and present it in such a way that they want to improve their game and incorporate whatever's missing into their game. And so, yeah, this is to me is one of the most fun things, because I've got high desire. They're doing the thing, right? So I don't have resistance to the activity, the scan, the call, the visit. They're just not getting the results they want. So, man, that's some of the best coaching conversations you can ever have.
Yeah, and all along, all of the three options of how this meeting can go, I would just say that it's going to look really personalized to your team. Some folks are going to be, kind of shy about doing all this in public, and it's going to be more just uncovering some things that you can go do one-on-one after the meeting's over. Sometimes things will bubble up in that meeting that, just there's an aha right then and there, training wise, or explaining the why better. It'll just become self-evident because the team's having that conversation. But I think we said celebrate, and I do want to say one other thing about that, which is celebrate looks different depending on the team as well. So, I've been in these meetings where, it's a bunch of men, really dominant men, and you think it's going to be the quietest meeting, like, all right, okay, thank you. These dudes celebrate each other. They're like I was in one of these meetings where they held up the surveys that had come back, and they read off the comments in the survey. Every single one of them elicited applause or nice, Chris, that kind of stuff happening. Not every team's going to do that, right? It's not going to look like that. Some teams, it's going to look like plain old cheerleading, woo, we did it. We hit the number, everybody, let's go. That may not be your team, the super masculine, yes, or the cheerleading. That there are third and fourth and fifth options for how that celebrating looks. I would just say you want this to be an authentic theme, an authentic representation of your team. So all that's to say, you better get your team involved in what this is going to look like, the scoreboard itself, and maybe even the meeting itself. Like get their participation so that they're a part of that discussion.
Oh yeah, well, and I think it's one of those things too. It seems, when you first do it the first time, it seems foreign to your team members. But after they've done it for a while, they start to see how it could be better. And so you start to involve them in the tweaking. All right, so next month let's measure this activity and focus more on that, and see if that moves the end number, or maybe the end number, like you said, is not the correct one that we should be focused on. But yeah, I find that sometimes it's difficult to explain before you do it, but once you launch it, then right, it's not set in stone, right? It's on a whiteboard or a poster board or something like that, or a flip chart paper. So it can be changed, and it should be changed.
Yeah.
It should evolve as you get feedback from your team members, from your clients, from the results. Yeah, this thing should evolve over time.
That's well said.
And I think one of the last pieces of this that often gets left out is the leader assumes the same commitment for the coming week. And that's a mistake.
Yes.
Yeah. So you don't want to assume that, all right, everybody's got a goal to do 5 outbound calls or 20 foot scans or whatever it might be. But you want to recommit to that verbally while we're all there. And so now I've got to say in front of my peers, in front of the leader, hey, listen, I'm taking 2 days off next week to go watch my kid playing a baseball tournament. And so I'm probably only going to be able to do 4. I'm going to commit to 4 offsite visits next week instead of my usual 5. Perfect. Right. I put that up there. Hey, I'm a little behind over the last couple of weeks. I had the Rona, and I'm back. And so I'm going to do, 8 this week.
Yeah.
And so, gaining that commitment, that peer pressure, saying it out loud, watching it go up on the board when you make a note of the commitment, man, that's powerful stuff.
Huge, absolutely huge. Yeah, I think that's a great point. And it's sometimes it might even be just fine tuning what it is you're going to do to get those 5. I'm going to do 5 offsite visits, but I figured out, I'm going to commit to, I'm going to really dial in and visit more schools. That's where I'm going to do my prospecting. So giving a little insight into what your strategy is going to be might be the commitment that you're making. Here's how I'm going to tweak my game for this week to hit that number.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you're spot on. And while we've been talking about this, I'm picturing some people have got it. Right. Some of, one of our listeners has it. The other one's still a little, it seems foggy. So if you want some help with this, right, we've got dozens of pictures of scoreboards that we've seen that have been used. Happy to share any of that if it's still not crystal clear what we're talking about, and happy to talk through somebody's scoreboard if you're thinking about I want to do this.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, they completely picture the lag measures, right? Because they got, month-end sales. I've got daily, updates on this end of task report. But the activities piece is where the brainstorming usually comes in, and we're incredibly happy to help with that.
We absolutely are, and I think we have recorded some episodes about the 4 disciplines before, and I'll try to find those and link to them in the show notes. No promises, but I think I can do that.
It sounds so cool when you say show notes.
Yeah, it's like professional.
Yeah,
Totally professional.
It's like we're real people or something. Yeah. This is pretty cool. Speaking of real people, doesn't get any more realer than the man himself, the legend, the Mr. Wolf, our announcer. So take it away, Mr. Wolf.
And that's a wrap. The musings of Mark and Mike. No rights reserved, etc. Feel free to share and discuss what you heard today. Even claim the ideas as your own. Who'd want to do that? See you next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius. Thanks.
That's good enough.